Hey, Jonathan here from Catapult Case. This is going to be a quick tutorial on adding data collectors to JunctionRelay. So in the previous videos you would have seen how to install JunctionRelay. I'm running this one on my Windows computer here, and I'm logged in with cloud authentication, which is why I have access to the cloud dashboard, and I can see the back end is authenticated as well. But JunctionRelay is not going to do anything interesting until you add some data sources to it. So let's go to the Collectors tab and press Add a Collector. JunctionRelay is excellent if you already have a whole bunch of services like Home Assistant collating all your information and data. You can just pull it straight into JunctionRelay here, and that way you don't need to set up all those same API connections to JunctionRelay. You can if you want to, and there's a whole bunch of different collectors here. I'm just going to go ahead and connect this one to hardware info, which is running on my Windows computer already. So if we go into settings here, you can enable shared memory support. To keep this running 24 hours a day, you do actually need to buy a license in hardware info. That's why I actually usually use LibreHardwareMonitor, which we'll take a look at after. But for now, we'll pretend I've got a license for that. And the collector name, hardware info, is fine. It's a little cramped on this 1080p display, but let's go ahead and add and configure the collector and then fetch new sensors. So great, it did find hardware info running on this system, and then what it's done is pulled in all of the various sensors that it has detected. If you want to, you can add them one by one. I'm just going to go ahead and add all of them. This UI is likely to change as we go further down development, but for now, that's the button there to add them all. And it's actually as simple as that. So these are now in the database. It did say one failed. If I want to see what that was, I can fetch the new sensors again, and it's going to show me any deltas. So this is probably just something to do with the sensor name or its ID. It didn't want to add it. Will it let me do it manually? It did. No idea why it didn't work the first time. Sometimes that happens, particularly if the sensor is a little funky. That happens for some of the weather ones in Home Assistant in my experience. Let's go back to collectors and let's add a different collector. Let's go to collectors. If this was running on a Linux device or in a Docker, like on Unraid or on a Raspberry Pi, you can actually just use host device and it will directly grab some sensors from the host system. It doesn't work on Windows at the moment. I don't really want to go and replicate what hardware info does so well or what LibreHardwareMonitor does. LibreHardwareMonitor is running on this computer, and I've enabled the remote server. So if I click on that one, click fetch sensors, just like we saw with hardware info, it's going to go and fetch everything it can from that running server. And of course, the nice thing about LibreHardwareMonitor is that it's free. So I highly recommend using that one as well. Let's add those sensors to our database. Great. So already we've got hundreds and hundreds of sensors here. If we do want to add Home Assistant, which is kind of the gold standard, right? Let's do Home Assistant. Make sure you got the URL correct. You will need to create yourself an access token. So I'm going to go ahead and I actually need to... How am I going to get my access token? Okay. Quick detour into Home Assistant because we do need to create an access token. This will be the way you do it as of the time of publishing. It might change later on. We'll update these videos whenever we get a chance, but pretty straightforward. You go to your user down here, go to security, scroll down. Is it a token? Yeah, okay. No, it's not. Scroll down, and you've got long-lived access tokens down the bottom here. So you can create a token, give it a name, demo, and then there's your token right there. So nice and easy. I'm going to take that. I just did some video editing magic and got my access token. So hopefully I can cut together this video correctly. But when I add and configure, once again, fetch the sensors, and great. It has gone ahead and found all of the sensors available in my Home Assistant instance on my network, which is lovely. And if I just want to add all of them, I can press add all over here. Once again, it's probably going to be a handful that it won't add automatically. So if 3 failed to add, if I want to see what they were, I can fetch it again and it will show us the delta. And yeah, these always fail for me. I think it's something to do with, I have no idea. There's a bug ticket open for that. It's not super high priority by the looks of it, but if there are important sensors that are not coming in for you, log an issue in GitHub and we'll get on that. So right now I have 3 collectors added. That's pretty good. So what's going to happen when we start using this in Junctions? It will query these collectors as is needed, rather than every device you connect fetching data on their own. JunctionRelay will centralize that for you. So yeah, that's it for collectors. Is there any other ones here I want to show you? Oh, you know what? Rate tester is a cool one. If you just want to see how performant JunctionRelay can be and your device implementation can be, add the rate tester, add its sensor, and then it just makes a single sensor for you here, which I want to keep. Every time you fetch against this collector, this sensor, it will increment the value by 1. So it's a great way to... Okay, I did multiple hits in the background there. You'll see that later on when we do some junctions. It's a really useful testing collector to have. Other ones of note would be... Uptime Kuma is a useful one. Again, there's tutorials attached to all of the collectors here on how to use them. Really what one I was looking for. NeoPixel Color is a fun one. Again, just like the rate tester, every time you poll this, it will give you a random color back. So that can be useful for testing your setup and making sure everything's working correctly. Okay, that does it for adding collectors for now. See you in the next video.